You know, it started off with just like real late on a Friday, and then it was like the whole weekend. Then it was weeks at a time. Getting arrested and being locked up was a huge part of my story. Going, you know, away for a while and then coming back and trying to do better and just failing again just to go back and keep doing what I used to do all the time. That was always my story. But then I met that meditation stuck out to me today, because where it talked about most of us have fond memories or grateful memories of the welcome we received and were given when we first came into NA. Y'all know Joe, right? The whole reason why I have everything in my life is because of Joe, because the way Joe made me feel at the very first meeting I ever stepped foot in. The reason why NA and AA work is because of identification, right? So like these doctors and these therapists and stuff, they're good for whatever they're doing for you. But look, man, if you don't know what it feels like to fucking hate yourself because you fucked up again, like to feel like, man, fuck, everybody in the world would be better off if my ass was dead, because I'm a fucking piece of shit. I did this again. I'm sitting in jail again, hating your fucking self. If you understand those feelings, then we can help each other, right? No doctor understands how that feels. That fucking self-hate, that fucking shame and guilt because look, man, none of us were out there doing that bullshit and just like we didn't know we were fucking up. You know what I mean? Look, you can't do that and just not start to feel some kind of way about yourself, right? But when you come into a room and you talk to somebody who understands those feelings and you know they ain't bullshitting, that's what makes this work, right? Mm-hmm. So look, do y'all know what the color code is? For those of y'all who don't know what the color code is, your PO will give you a color and you got to call this number every day and it'll say the color for today is whatever the color is. Back in the day, we were better off showing up and pissing dirty than just not showing up, right? So I had been gone for like 4 or 5 days, out getting high with my boys and shit. And you know that terrible feeling where at the end of it, they're like, where are we dropping you off at? And I'm like, fuck. Because I didn't want to go home because I know what I'm going to get when I go home. You know what I mean? I'm going to get all the shit that I deserve, but it's much easier to keep getting high and forget about it. You know what I mean? So anyways, I go home and the girl that I was with at the time was like, your color came up today, motherfucker. I was like, oh, shit. So we go down and I'm signing in on the clipboard, but it wasn't my color. She had tricked me with my PO and I got arrested. The cops were there. Oh. Yeah, it sucked at the time, but now looking back, it was the best thing that ever happened to me, right? So I'm sitting in the PO office handcuffed and I'm begging the lady and she stopped writing. She reached in her desk and she tried to hand me an NA meeting list and I couldn't take it. So the girl snatched it up and she was like, there's one starting in 20 minutes. And that's how I stepped foot in the very first meeting I ever stepped footed, right? I had 8 years hanging over my head. She was writing them up. I begged my way into one last chance, and I go to an NA meeting for the first time. It was a massive meeting. It used to be on Tuesdays at noon in Lambert's Point. That meeting's not there anymore. Joe started that meeting, right? Because he used to be a mailman, and he was on disability for his back. So the guy, like a shitload of the meetings in that meeting list, Joe started during that time. This was in like 2004, so I've been clean for 20 years. Right? I ain't got a lot of time. It ain't about that. It ain't about that.
Ran out of burning.
It ain't about that. But look, the point though is that from wanting to kill myself all the fucking time because I just hated the way I was living, to getting one last chance and stepping into that first meeting, and I'm sitting there in the back because we got there late and the girl was still pissed off at me. You know, she was bitching me out. I was like, will you shut the fuck up so I can hear? It was listen to her give me what I deserved, really, or listen to the meeting, right? So I'm going to listen to the meeting. They were reading out of our blue book, the basic text. They were reading a chapter called Who's an Addict? And I was like, yo, that sounds like me. Shit, I did that a couple of hours ago. I had like 3 hours clean. I was for real. I was still kind of geeking, thinking I could probably bounce out of this bitch and go figure something out. But I didn't. I listened to everything they were saying in that book, right? And after that meeting was over, Joe's talked a hole in everybody in this room's head, I'm sure. And he did it to me that day. And look, what Joe did that day was he described to me how I was feeling right then and there. For him, it was like 3.5 years ago. But look, man, you can't describe that feeling if you've never felt it. Steven Spielberg can't write that script. You know what I mean? If you don't understand those feelings, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about for real. And Joe said the thing that made the most sense in the world to me. He was like, I'm not special, dude. I just got here before you. I did these things. I did them in this order, and my life got better. Can you do that? And I was like, I don't know. I was like, I'll try. And Joe would come from Portsmouth to Ocean View, pick me up, carry me around to meetings for the first couple of weeks that I was clean, right? And he would be like, hey, man, we're going to go get some food. And I'd say, I don't have any money, dude. He was like, I didn't ask you if you had any money. I was like, bro, I probably owe you like 15 lunches. He was like, you don't owe me any lunches. You'll buy lunches one day. So I buy lunches now sometimes. That's how this shit works, right? So look, now I'm going to tell y'all like how it actually works, because that is how it works, where you feel comfortable and you get hope handed to you when you first get here, just like it said in that meditation. But then there's some work you got to do to fix the real reason why you ended up there in the first place, right? And that's the step working process. Well, look, I'm going to tell y'all something. That girl who tricked me into getting clean, she didn't get clean with me. She was the kind of person who would go get a couple bundles of dope, try to play house, and fucking, go boosting to get, the next couple of bundles. And then she got knocked off. She went to the penitentiary, and I got custody of my kids. Okay. Y'all know one of them. She was 6 months old. So I ended up meeting this other woman, and she comes from a really nice family. Like, they make Hallmark movies about her family. I don't have any business being around her family for real. But I'm telling you that for a reason. She was going through a custody battle with her ex-husband, and that guy had money, so he hired a private investigator to dig up dirt on me. And so I was sitting in the courtroom with her mom and her aunt and her uncle, her two sisters and her best friend, and the guy was just sitting up there telling this whole courtroom all the shit that I had done. And I was like, well, I guess this was cool while it lasted. But afterwards, her mom was like, Shawn, we just can't picture you doing any of that stuff. And I was like, thank you. And there's a reason why you can't picture that, because that dude is dead. That guy doesn't exist anymore. Now, the reason why I told y'all that story is because every one of y'all got a version of that dude or that girl. It's your evil twin that's trying to fucking kill you. That's really how I look at addiction. It's an evil twin that's trying to kill us. Look, we got a weapon to kill that motherfucker, though. It's called the 12 steps. I'm going to tell y'all in a condensed version how you kill your evil twin. Right? Because look, I don't care how y'all feel about God or what name you want to put on God. God didn't make any of us pieces of shit and put us on here just to be miserable for our whole lives, right? There is something out there that's fucking making these terrible. That's the evil twin. Okay? That's the way I view it, right? And how you kill him is with those steps. So step one says we're powerless over our addiction, that our lives are unmanageable. That's a real easy thing to understand in your head. Come on, y'all got to understand that. We're sitting in treatment right now, right? You ain't here because shit's going swell, right? It's easy to understand that in your brain. Something different happens when it moves from your brain down into your heart. I have 20 years clean. I know for a fact I will never be able to just drink a couple of beers like a normal dude. And I'm okay with it. I'm never going to be able to just let me do one bong hit. And I'm okay with it. That last part, and I'm okay with it. That's the thing that separates people who get 20 years clean from people who are in and out, in and out, in and out. If you got some idea in your head that once you save your marriage or save your career or get your PO off your back or whatever short-term goal you have set, once you hit that, then you can go back to doing what you used to. You will go back to what you used to, the bad parts of it, okay? So you've got to make the understanding from your brain to your heart, hey, this is the new way that I'm going to live for the rest of my life. But look, that's scary. It's scary. And if a lot of guys want to be tough and be like, I ain't scared of shit, whatever. It's an uncomfortable feeling to not know what's going to come on in the future. A lot of us stay getting high, being miserable because we're familiar with it. I already know what's going to happen when I go over there. I know how it's going to be when I got to go lay it down for another 12-month bid. You know what I mean? But I know what it's going to be. It ain't that big of a deal. It's scary to do something totally different, right? But that's why we have the second step. The second step is the hope step. That's where Joe, when I had 3 days clean, took me to a convention of NA. Thousands of people happy, laughing. I still hated myself. He introduced me to so many people, it was crazy. They all told me the same thing. I just got here before you. It'll work for you too. I'm not special. I was like, dude, all these people can't be better than me. They must be telling me the truth. I'm going to do what they did. Hope. That's hope. Step 3 is where I don't look at the steps and say, oh, I'll take this suggestion. Fuck that. I ain't going to do that one. I ain't doing this one. I'm all in. That's step 3. I'm all in. All the suggestions that the people tell me. Because when you fucking, it ain't been working since the 60s waiting for your ass to come here and rewrite it. You know what I mean? It works the way it's written, right? That's step 3. We go all in. Now we get to step 4. That's where we start working on us for real. Look, step 4 is about patterns. A lot of people are afraid of step 4 because it's the one where you write out the inventory about yourself, and people get afraid of it. But look, I'm going to tell y'all how it was for me. When I sat down and did step 5 with my sponsor, he took notes while we were talking throughout the day. And then he was like, Shawn, do you see all these patterns? And I was like, no, what are you talking about? He was like, it's all over your answers. When you get in a situation like this is how you respond. When you feel like this, it looks like this is how you react every time. I want you to start looking for patterns. They were everywhere. They were everywhere. Like I had, the girl was long gone at the time. Mallory was like learning how to crawl in NA meetings and shit. And I was like, I was trying to hook up with every chick in the world and shit. But there was one I was trying to like flirt with, and I was standing in a group of dudes, and this guy that I didn't know very well like cracked a joke on me, and everybody started laughing. But the first thing my head said was, you got to beat this dude's ass right now so this girl don't think you're a pussy. Or you can laugh because it's just a joke. And I look good in street clothes, and I'm tired of going to jail. It's a pattern. I'm doing dumb shit, so these people might like me or these people might laugh, and I ain't hurting nobody but me. That was a pattern. Look, how many of y'all, since you've been here, and I know that it happens, how many of y'all, since you've been here, have let somebody piss you off so bad you either AMA, almost AMA'd, I know they call you Angry Dave and shit. That's gnarly as fuck, bro. or you just like you have a terrible day because you let somebody else make you that upset. That's a pattern. That's a pattern. The patterns are everywhere, man. Step 4 and 5 is about pattern recognition. You gotta like look. We used to say back in the day that if you commit suicide in early recovery, you're killing a stranger. Because we don't really know ourselves. We think we know ourselves. But when you start seeing how you really tick in real time, like in front of your face, like not the bullshit you say to make excuses when you're talking to somebody else, but when you're sitting with yourself and it's hard to lie to yourself. You know what I mean? You're like, yeah, I really did fuck that up. I shouldn't have did that. You know what I mean? Or I did pretty good at that. I should build on that. You know what I mean? When we start learning these patterns about ourselves, they're all throughout our lives. They're all throughout our lives. But look, you get to be like a superhero, though, once you start seeing those. Because, like, it's almost like you can see the future. Like, I don't call Verizon or the water company because I don't have patience for them people. I let my wife deal with that type of shit. You know what I mean? That's a pattern for me. I try to play on my strengths and stick away from the things that I suck at. You know what I mean? And every one of us, every one of us has things that we're good at and things that we ain't so good at, So look, then we get into step 6 and 7. These are the character defect steps, right? So I use this analogy of like a laptop that's like just so screwed up with viruses that the thing barely works. I'm like, that's us, right? The step working process is like a magic eraser. Wipe the motherboard clean. Then we get to start reprogramming it. Like you look at the patterns and you look at the things, your behaviors in your life, and you're like, I'm pretty good at this. I got to do as much of this as possible. I suck at this. Let me try to keep this ingredient out of the recipe as much as possible. It's almost like you're a chef and you're building a recipe for a human being. And look, that's basically what it is. Because all character defects, that's the way we talk about them in NA, is we call them character defects and shit like that. But look, they're all principles. They're all principles that start off in a good place. Like you can use common sense discernment to know like what's a good situation from you and what's not. And then it crosses over an imaginary line. Then you're a judgmental asshole. You see what I mean? Like all of the character defects start off in a normal place that's healthy for us, right? So you're playing with that recipe all the time in step 6 and 7. And then you get to step 8. Everybody's afraid of step 8 also because you write out a list of all the people you got to say you're sorry to. Just write the list. Just write the list. That's all you got to do. You don't got to worry about whose name. Just write the list because your sponsor's going to rip up most of the list anyways. Because step 9, the the saying I'm sorry step, the amends step, that is for like you're close, people who you're close to. Nope, no sponsor is going to tell you to go turn yourself into 7-Eleven because you steal from them or fucking go find, the dope man and pay back the front you did. And that ain't, you know what I mean? That ain't what it's about. But when we get to step 9, look, for me, there was no shortage of people in my life that were like, okay, we see you're doing good now, but we know who you really are, motherfucker. And we know you're going to do all that bullshit to us again, beating me up with my past, this like bat called my past. You're going to do it again. We already know you. Look, what's step 9 say? Step 9 says I go to these people and I say, yes, you're right. I did that. I can't deny it. I did do it. I'm not doing it anymore. By the way, hey, let me get that back. You don't get to keep hitting me with this. That's called healthy boundaries. Look, man, early recovery is hard enough without a bunch of people telling you you're going to fail. So you got to put up healthy boundaries. And it's a very hard thing to do because a lot of times those healthy boundaries are with the people that we love the most. Maybe it's your spouse. Maybe it's some grown children, whoever, you know what I mean? Somebody that we truly love. But if they're not good for you in the beginning, there's a reason why they tell parents to put the fucking oxygen mask on them first and then save their kids when the plane's going down, because you can't help nobody if you're still broken. Okay. So we used to also say a lot, I don't hear this very often anymore, but recovery is selfish, particularly in the beginning, because your only priority is fixing you. You want to get everybody wants to get some new clothes and a nice car and get all this material stuff as soon as they get clean. And everybody wants their family to trust them like they didn't fuck them over for the last few years. It all comes, but it comes in time, right? In the beginning, you focus on killing the evil twin. Because the evil twin, you don't stab the evil twin and he falls down and he's just dead forever. He's like Freddy Krueger or fucking Jason or some shit. That bitch just will pop up and come and get you at all times. And that's why we have step 10. Step 10 is a maintenance step, right? This is where, like, I get up early in the morning. Look, if I got to be, I live at the ocean front. If I got to be in Norfolk at 9 o'clock in the morning, there's no reason for me to sleep till 8:30. So I can start my day off stressed out, panicking, racing out the house. That's no way to start any day. I wake up early. I do my prayers. I do some stretching and stuff. By the time I hit the door, I'm calm, chill. I'm ready to go out into the world, right? At the end of the day, I look back over my day and I'm like, okay, like I said a few minutes ago, you kind of screwed that one situation up. Don't do that again. Own your part in it. You did some good stuff too. Build on that. That's a maintenance step. That's where you're looking over to make sure the evil twin is still down. And it's a constant thing. Sometimes you got to do, particularly for you guys, because y'all are forced to live in an environment where you have no control over jack shit, really, and you definitely don't got no control over any other human being. So somebody's going to say some shit that pisses you off or does something that pisses you off. You always have the power to walk around the corner or go any damn where and take a couple of breaths and be like, is this really worth me getting put out of here? Or is this worth me checking AMA out of here and going back to all the bullshit there's some reason why you came here, because y'all weren't sentenced to this, bitch. Y'all came here voluntarily. So obviously somewhere inside your head, you know that what was out there wasn't cool. Okay, you can always go back to it, but why? Why? Walk away for a second. Take a few breaths and do what maintenance. Step 10, you can do it any time of the day. It don't have to be in the morning and at night. It can be any time during the day, right? And then step 11 is where maybe you didn't understand what your higher power is, because step 2 and 3 are really about finding your higher power. But in the very beginning, a lot of people are put off about the God stuff. So I use hope and all-in metaphor because they're valid. By the time you get to step 11, you should really have some understanding of what your higher power is. And the beautiful thing about NA is that we're not assigning gods at the door. Like, yours is going to be Jesus. Yours will be Muhammad. Yours is going to be Buddha. We don't care. You get to choose. That's freely up to you to choose what your higher power is. By the time you get to 11, you should have some understanding of it. And you should get some comfort out of leaning on it. By the time you get to 11, you will. Hopefully, right? And then when you get to 12, that's when you come and you do stuff like this. You give it back to other people. Like, I don't care what your higher power is, but I've studied every religion. None of them tell you to hoard up everything you can and just keep it to yourself. None of them are going to tell you that. Every single one of them wants you to be a better person and help other people, right? And so that's why we come and we do stuff like this. And even when you got 20 years clean and you don't feel like you go to a regular meeting and you share, or you hang out and you talk to some people afterwards. You know what I mean? That's how we do that stuff. That's how this stuff works. Joe didn't have to keep coming out to Norfolk and picking me up, carrying me around the meetings. You know what I mean? He's still to this day, he's my sponsor right now. He still to this day has 6 guys come to his house every month and we have dinner and he cooks for us all. Last month I cooked. But he usually cooks for these 6 guys. And he's got 2 or 3 of us that have got plenty of time clean. We're low maintenance sponsees, but he keeps a bunch of newcomer sponsees that are very high maintenance. Y'all need a lot of talking to because y'all have a lot of drama usually, you know what I mean? But it's cool that he gives back like that, right? No, I'm going to give y'all some practical suggestions now. That's how the steps work. Look, those steps do kill the evil twin. They do help you keep him down, but they don't happen like in 30 days. Okay. So it's a process. So some of the practical things that help you throughout that process are these. Like, look, we're all very fortunate that we're in Tidewater, Hampton Roads, whatever you want to call it. There's 132 NA meetings a week in that meeting list. Okay. You can go to some areas of the world and Google NA near me and it'll say the Monday night meeting is blah, 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 or the Wednesday night meeting. And you may have to drive for, miles and miles and miles. We have about 20 meetings for you to choose from every single day. And that's just NA. If you add AA in there, there's like 500 meetings a week, right? So we're very blessed in that respect, right? Look, but they're not all the same. You might go to one meeting and sit there and say, man, I really like this meeting. And then the next night you might go to one and say, I don't feel comfortable in here at all. That's because we don't tell anybody how to run the meetings. The home group members get to run their meeting the way they want to run their meeting. Okay. So you find meetings that you feel comfortable in. You got to find one a day, just one meeting a day that you feel comfortable in. And then you show up to it early. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. If the meeting starts at 7, don't show up at 7. Stay in the back. As soon as the meeting's over, you bounce. Who got to meet you? Who got to help you? Nobody. Look, man, when that meeting starts at 7, the home group members are there at 6. And your best friends that you'll have lifelong friendships with are people that you will meet in those conversations, setting up meetings, staying late, putting the meetings down and everything, and then maybe going out afterwards. I've got friends that I've had the whole 20 years that I met putting meetings together and then hanging out afterwards, right? And then look, the other thing is you got to find a sponsor. You got to find a sponsor. Look, your sponsor, don't rush to get a sponsor just because like they've got a car you like or they got some clothes that like, you know what I mean? They look fucking fresh or something. Nah, look, you got to find somebody who has something you want. Like, what I mean by that is like, does that person look like they're enjoying their life? And after that, are they just sharing to sound good? Watch them when they're interacting after the meeting and before the meeting. If the two are meeting up together, then that's probably a good person. But you got to find somebody that you're willing to tell everything to. That step working process, that killing the evil twin, doesn't work if you're afraid to tell your sponsor something. Like if you're only giving half the information to your sponsor, he's not going to see, like Martin couldn't have wrote down those notes and told me the patterns that I needed to look for if I didn't answer the questions honest. See what I'm saying? Like you also have to be able to tell the person like, look, man, I'm fucking up in this area and I don't even really care. Like, cause that's true. Sometimes we don't want to work on some area of our lives. Like we were just talking about that. In the beginning of my recovery, it was so much more important for me to have a nice truck, brand new clothes on all the time. Mallory had to have brand new shit on all the time. It was so much more important for me to screw my money up on like outside visual looking stuff than what was really important. I had the power was cut on illegally and shit. And like, I'd have chicks over and be like, oh, that outlet don't work. Here, let me But I sucked at paying my bills. It was just so much easier to do whatever the fuck I wanted with my money. But eventually you feel the pain of living those old patterns and you're forced to change. Unless you just want to stay being miserable forever. That's what recovery is about. It's about pattern recognition and then recognizing the pain of the patterns and then trying to do something about it. And if you've chosen the right sponsor and the right support group of folks to put around you, you won't feel awkward telling them, hey man, I'm really struggling with porn on this phone. Or, I mean, maybe I'm not trying, that wasn't me necessarily, Mallory. Don't roll your eyes. I'm just saying in general, whatever the issue may be, I'm trying to impart to you guys how important it is to build a support group and have a sponsor that you feel comfortable with. Because these people are they're like your fucking platoon and y'all are about to go into war together. And these dudes are going to, or women, and that's another thing, men stick with the men and the girls stick with the girls. This is the most important suggestion I could possibly say to you people is that fucking rehab romances never work. What do y'all know about dealing with heartbreak when you're in early recovery? When your heart gets broken and you're in early recovery, you only know one thing. I want to stop feeling like this. How do you stop feeling like this when you don't have the tools? You go right back to the other shit you used to do. Yep. That's what we all do. I'm not fucking crazy smart. I didn't come up with this shit. This has been taught and handed down to us. We all know this. Look, remember when I told y'all that the big difference was the people who were between people who stick around and the people who are constantly relapsing, is that I'm okay with this new way of life? The other thing that is the big divider between success and constant relapse is that first really terrible day. I mean, terrible day. Not just a normal, I'm having a bad day. I mean, an awful day, like fuck this day. Like the kind of feelings where I don't even care about the consequences. I'm going to go get fucked up because fuck this. Whatever this happens to be. All right. Everybody in recovery at some point has been at that door. All of us. Okay. If while you were feeling good on your pink cloud, that's what we call everybody who's all stoked on recovery in the early days and shit, you're feeling all good and everything. When you were on that pink cloud, if you were going to meetings and meeting new people and building that support group, when you get to that door where you're like, man, fuck this, you will call somebody from that group of people. That is most people don't build that group of people. That's why I was trying to fucking pound it into y'all so bad. Because even there are a lot of people who have that group of people and are not afraid to make the phone call. And they end up saying, fuck it anyways. And next thing you know, they're out there again. Look, man, this is a program of people who understand that feeling. Like, I remember having to make that phone call. I also remember being in my first few meetings where Joe wasn't there holding my hand and introducing me to people. And I'm just standing there feeling like, a nerd in fucking the cafeteria in fucking high school or some shit. You know what I mean? It's an awkward feeling. We know how that's why that meditation said what it said. The beginning part was for newcomers. Find somebody who believes in me. The second part of it, if you reread it, was to the old timers. You motherfuckers didn't get this by yourselves. It's your responsibility to give it back. Because it's very easy to be sitting in a meeting and talk with all your friends and forget about the dude standing over there that nobody knows. But that's why we have these readings in here. They're like 15 a year that remind somebody like me, oh, dude, I got to go say hi to that guy that nobody's talking to. We know. So you're not bothering any of us. We feel good when we get the opportunity to help y'all. So make the phone calls. Last thing I'm going to say is I'm going to tell y'all about the Serenity Prayer. And then they can run it any way they want. The Serenity Prayer is said so often that it is almost cliche, right? Grant me the serenity to accept the thing that I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Okay? A lot of, like I said, we say it so often that it's almost cliche, but it's one of the most powerful tools that we actually have. Like, look, I've been in construction almost all of my life. And I remember I had like 8 months clean, and somebody had turned a closet into a bathroom, and I was trying to get this toilet out, but there was no room for me to get my arm in there. And I was freaking out because I couldn't get it out there. I was losing it. And I went outside and I was pissed off. And I remembered all these old people, because I was 28 when I got clean. So I remember all these old people telling me, say the serenity prayer. So I calmed down. I took some breaths. I said the serenity prayer. I chilled out. And when I went back in, I got the toilet out. And I'm not saying like the hand of God took the toilet out or anything like that. But what I am saying is that was the first time somebody told me, hey man, try this. And I tried it and it worked. I was like, man, these people know some shit. Because if I'm being totally honest, the beginning, all I wanted was to not give them those 8 years they were trying to throw at me. That was really why I was doing it. Joe used to say, stick around for a year, man. We'll refund you all your misery. After a year, you don't like what you got. We'll give you back all your misery. I used to, man, he was good with a gang of corny sayings and shit, but fucking, they were all true. They were all true, right? So look. So the serenity prayer and practical application is just that. And it also goes back along with the angry Dave thing. Like, look, one thing is a fact, dude. You can't be like enjoying your life, going around, having a happy life, and mad as a bitch at the same time. The two things don't go together, right? They don't. But look, if you identify what the problem is, okay, I've been telling everybody, I usually use this story about my wife's car wreck. Like when I turned 50, she took me to Puerto Rico for a surf trip. That was her big birthday present to me. When she turned 50, she wanted to go to Iceland. I didn't want to go to Iceland, but we were going to go to Iceland. A couple of weeks before we were supposed to leave, we got rear-ended and her back got totally wrecked. She was in the hospital for almost a month and she was hurt real bad and I was angry. I had Mallory in jail at the time. She was in the hospital. I'm trying to deal. Look, I was angry. But what does the serenity prayer say? The serenity prayer says, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change. I don't have a time machine. Can't go back in time. The courage to change the things that I can. What could I change? I could change Shawn. I could change the way I was feeling about stuff. I could change the way I was behaving, because what my wife needed was somebody who was going to talk to the lawyers, talk to the doctors, talk to the insurance people. I had to talk to the fucking jail to get her meds to her. I had to talk to her lawyers. I had a whole bunch of shit that I had to do. That was the courage to do the stuff that I could. The wisdom to know the difference was understanding the first two things. Rather than sitting fucking mad as a bitch, like pissed off that it happened, not doing shit. What would that have done? Nothing. That works on something big like a car wreck, and also works on little things. Like, I don't like the way my roommates fucking keeping their side of the room. What can you do about that? You can talk to your roommate. But after that, that's all you can do about it, because you have no control over another human being. I'm not looking at you. I'm looking at the room in general. The wisdom to know the difference is understanding you're only making yourself miserable by failing to recognize that you can't control that other person. It's a fact. If one of these staff members say something to you or tell you to do something you don't like, you don't got to take it. You can always go back out on the street and fucking be miserable, fucking active addiction. You can go do that anytime you want. But look, man, this is not a program about easy. Easy is getting high. This is a program about putting in work to change. And it sucks in the beginning. It sucks for a long time, if I'm being real honest with you. But then one day you realize life don't suck no more. Man, my life is actually pretty good. Or you're in the bathroom and you're getting ready and you're like, man, I don't really hate you anymore. I kind of like you now. Talking to yourself. You know what I mean? This program, recovery in general, gives us so much. It gives us so much. So look, man, but it all boils down to what we're willing to put into it, people. For real, man. So like when y'all get out of here, if you don't go to a step down, go to a fucking meeting the same day. Not I'm going to go see how my girl's doing, and then I'll get to a meeting maybe the next day or the day after that, or I got to go see how my people are doing. The same day you get out of here, go to a meeting. Put your hand up. Say, I'm a newcomer. I'm just introducing myself because I don't want to get high no more. I just got out of treatment and I'm feeling a little nervous. We know how that feels. You're going to get mobbed up with people who want to help. Do that shit, please, so that you don't. There's like 4 people in here that have heard me a couple of times. I come once a month.
I've heard you one too many times.
You weren't listening, obviously.
Bam.
Bam. Hey. Thanks for letting me share.
Thank you for sharing. Good job.
Hey, what's up?
I just want to say that is one of the best speaking testimonies I've ever heard in a game. I love that you didn't waste any time talking about war stories in the past and all that. You quickly jumped into where we're at right now. How you got out of this and how we can get from here to where you guys are. Man, I respect that. And I just want to say thank you for all this and talking to us. The way you told it was awesome. It inspired me. I appreciate it. And I've never heard anybody break down a serenity prayer like that as well. That was awesome. So I appreciate you, you know what I mean, kind of breaking that in word by word, step by step, line by line, and how we can take that and apply it to ourselves and our recovery. So yeah, man, I just want to say thanks for coming. Like,
You're welcome, man.
So much.
Dude, this is how you don't understand how awesome I feel when I leave these places. And it's also the same way anybody in recovery feels when we hang up the phone after we talk to one of y'all. Like, I really want to make sure that I drill it home to y'all that you ain't bothering us when you call us, because this is me doing what I know my God wants me to do, is help other people. This is the best avenue he's given me to help other people. So, like, using those phones and calling people is so important, man, particularly where y'all are at in y'all's recovery.
I would like to say, I'm the youngest person. Me too. I'm saying this being my first rehab. That speaks how you basically just bundled up everything and when everything has been the most inspiring thing. Yeah, I'm so glad. Not only that, but you dive over because they have inspired me to put even more and paying more to said realize that what I want to become. Thank you.
Well,
I'm an addict named Adam.
Hey, Adam.
I love you. Yeah, look, it's a job for me, right? And so, and he's had some pretty miraculous moments with sponsors. Like Martin passed away, but like Martin was around for 30 some years. And Joe, I look at it like this: get a temp job. Just get a temp job, because by the time you get to step 4, God will get you, if it's ready for you to go to another sponsor, then God will get you there. But at least get a temp sponsor and just go through it. Like that's some of the work. And then the relationship piece. I say this because I heard this the other night. This cat said, a newcomer, being with a newcomer is like, you might as well go to the hospital, find a man or a woman that's on life support, pull the plug, have sex with them, put the plug back in. Right? Because that's how, and when you get to that step 4, sex, relationships, it'll all be there. Obviously they say don't get in a relationship your first year. There's a couple, right? Especially if you go to meetings around here, you see there's a few, right, Joe? There's a few that maybe pull that off. But in my experience, and I got a little time with 7 years and change, whenever I've seen someone new, right, 6 months, 9 months, hook up with something, I'm just saying and I don't know why. I don't know why that is. And I'm honestly, that's something I've always wanted. That's part of my addiction. I always wanted that soulmate, that somebody, that's part of the disease, coming in. So yeah, get that temp sponsor, work it like a temp job. And if you don't like the job, get another sponsor, got a lot of addicts in this area.
Yeah, that's us.
And I'll say this too, because he was like, I went when I had like 30 days clean, right? and I had to go to Martha's Vineyard, right? Martha's Vineyard, here we go. So like 30 days clean, still sweating, right? Like everything I saw was like drugs, right? Oh, brown, that must be a blunt. Or like white, cocaine. That's today too. And like, so I'm driving, right? We had to fly to Detroit. Then we had to, and I'm praying on my knees in the bathroom, right? I'm a fucking mess. Like, I'm a mess. Got to Boston, praying on my knees in Boston, right? And then we had to take this bus to Martha's Vineyard, and then we had to walk. And I mean, look, there was like this drug. I mean, it was a mess. 3 NA meetings on the whole island. There was only 4 addicts, and 3 of them had 20 plus years. The other chick, she was drinking vanilla or something. Did you know that? I hope I didn't trigger anybody, but vanilla, don't be guzzling vanilla. But like, there was
What are
only,
you talking? Never mind.
yeah,
I don't know what you're talking
vanilla extract.
That must be some new shit you kids figured out after
Right?
I got me.
The point is, it's like I go to this island and there's only 3 meetings and 3 addicts on the whole island, you know? And I'm like, damn, you know what I mean? And then to come back here in the Tidewater area, and like, I swear to you, I can hillside, I can just walk to that meeting. I can go to meetings all day. I don't even have to pray. Really. I'm just being facetious. I do have to pray, right? But it's like, I can go to meetings all the time. So yes, take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Enlighten Danny.
Right before I got up, I got this phone call, I'm like, I do not want to fucking go to a meeting. So, thank you, man. Wow. I thought you'd be smaller, by the way, too. I thought Jackie was. Hey, Shawn,
I don't like boosting as you go too much. It's already up there.
Hey, so thank you so much, man. You know what? I've been in AA for a lot of years. Like, I finally gave me a recovery in about 2013, and I just kept bouncing around. I think I need to be in NA. I've been hearing this little, but I didn't have to hear it. I just like said, something right down. You know, fucking awesome, man. Thank you. I appreciate it, man.
I'm not one of the people who believes in like the division between NA and AA.
Me neither.
I view AA as like white collar recovery and NA as blue collar recovery, but it's still recovery either way.
Yeah.
So if the only thing you can make it to is an AA meeting, go to the AA meeting. I don't get down with that one fellowship opposed to the other one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Enlighten Dave.
Hey, I'm really glad you guys are here, man. Your story was definitely, I've been to 1,000, and, I've been here 11 years. And I opened up the building for you guys on Sunday at the BBRC. That was my spot.
Huh.
So Sunday at 9, I opened the door for you guys. I was basically living, on and off. And I started in NA. 2001, 2005, I had first clean time since I was 10. And I came here, things happened, and I'm in A. But like what we just said, I go to both because that shit got me high. That whole division, that whole shit, this one's watered down, this one's real, this one's hooked up, this ain't. I am such a fucking horrific alcoholic and addict that I do not have the luxury to fucking, I need help. I don't care what it is. I've gotten to a point where it's like, the pain just gets great enough. And I get time. I've had back-to-back 3 years. I've had 2 years here. 1 year. I've had 9 months. And I keep getting to 3 years and getting everything, on it. And then an alarm goes up in my head and I stop doing all the things I did to get better. And everything works in the book, and, the only highlights of my life when I'm in this program, so, I came in here again before it really got bad. I got a giant network. I got hundreds of people and, all that shit. But I keep doing the same thing and people get tired of you. Judges get tired of you. I haven't had any trouble here. Thank God. Oh, boy. That's because I've basically been in the program, but I'm not going to be biased. He told me to stand in the corner and spit on my head and shove pineapples up my ass. At this point, it's I'll try.
Fuck yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Shit.
It's gonna fuck. It's gonna fuck him. That means it's a pain to me. The pain of me jumping off that bridge during the fucking hurricane. The pain of the SWAT team fucking shooting me after I took hostage. The pain of all that shit. My mother dying in my arms. And you know, like that shit, that's what's real. You know, and that's what's waiting for me every time I don't take suggestion or follow this path. That's what's out. You know, so like, hopefully my surrender this time is complete. You know, but I appreciate your rawness, and that's why I was thought that. But I'll definitely be checking you guys out. And Joe's like this. He's amazing.
Yeah.
He just hit a switch on me when I first came in. You know, so now I'm like, I got my serious hat.
I might be changing my sponsor line, actually. Be bringing the boys over, too. You be cooking. Okay.
But I appreciate y'all, man.
Yeah.
That's all I got. Thanks, Dave.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks, Shawn. Time for one more. Come on.
One more.
Thank you so much for coming.
Nice.
I just want to say, like, every time I come to an NA meeting or every time, like, I've gone to group and rehab at this rehab, I've learned some new phrase. And I would have to say my favorite phrase is that, what do you say about the lollipop thing? This isn't.
Oh, they say lollipop. No.
Yeah. So it was like, or like, don't give up 5 seconds before a miracle. And like, it's like what you said. It's like, then I just start like, when I get angry and stuff like that, I just start repeating every phrase that has gone through like y'all's mouths or Joe's mouth or even my tears. And I don't know. I just want to say thank all y'all, especially since I'm leaving tomorrow.
That's right.
You just keep telling yourself when you get angry, I look good in street clothes. I look good in street clothes. I look good in street clothes. Jumpsuits don't look good on anybody. Well, I mean,
I don't know. I think I pull out orange. I don't want to.
that's retarded. That's a retarded.
Actually, no, she was talking about she pulls off this orange key tag in 4 days.
yeah.
I'm on
Okay.
your team. I am on your team, I promise.
Key tags. We only got 6 white key tags. Anybody need a white key tag? Give it a high call.